we have some big differences today in fantasy points between PrizePicks and Underdog. Also, there's a pretty good MLB prop that we have on the board today. Let's get into it. So my favorite prop would be this one right here, looking at over 4 strikeouts. And part of the reason why is going to be the good matchup with Boston. Boston averages about 1.05 strikeouts per inning, which is one of the worst in the league right now. And if we look at the prop line, Sportsbook started this out at really like minus 150 to get over 3.5 strikeouts. They have now been adjusting that throughout the day. They are more favoring 4.5 strikeouts now. And I think that's just due to volume coming in on this bet. Now they are favoring the under there for 4.5 strikeouts. That tells me that this number of 4 strikeouts is probably correct in Vegas's eyes right now. And what I find interesting as well is he is projected to get a lot of strikeouts, about 6 strikeouts. That is a very good number that we are getting there. So MLB wise, that's going to be one of my favorite props. And also on top of that, Underdog has taken this bet away because they felt like it was too good of a bet. And so to me, that is a good opportunity there on PrizePicks. Probably my favorite bet of the day as it sits right now. And so now I just really want to call out the differences that we are getting between PrizePicks and Underdog, because there is a potential big edge there. Really, it's going to be up to you guys to determine which way you want to go with it, but we are getting some good lines on these props. And they're going to be in fantasy score. So let's look at it. We are getting 1, 2, 3 props where the fantasy score is a point or more. We do not see that difference really on any other prop. Okay, so let's just examine these 3. We got Malik Monk, Tobias Harris, Maxey, and then you could go further like Spencer Dinwiddie, Devin Booker. Those are pretty big differences there as well. So there could be a potential opportunity there with those props. So let's start with Malik Monk. Okay, 27.5 on PrizePicks is actually kind of a lot, whereas Underdog 25.65. That might not be a big difference to you guys, but it does add up over time. I think a good example of that would be like Jaren Jackson Jr. yesterday on PrizePicks. Yesterday, he just missed out on his over fantasy score by 0.2. And it was weird. I was watching live and it looked like he had 2 steals in a row. Now, one was a turnover by Dennis Schroeder that just landed in his arms, and actually credit to John Concher. I honestly went to bed thinking that I would get a stat correction. We would get a stat correction on that. Didn't happen. But that is where these big differences in the props, especially fantasy points, can really add up. Now, Monk has been playing some really good basketball lately, okay? But he's also been pretty efficient shooting the basketball as well. In game 1, he had 14 free throw attempts. That is not going to happen again. Was able to really go off in that game, but still only scored 38 DraftKings points, which was about 36.5 fantasy points on PrizePicks. Now he has been playing some good basketball. It is a high scoring game as well, going against Golden State. This is the highest game over and under, and that's really by far. And with Draymond Green out tonight, I kind of expect the scoring to be a little bit easier as well for the King. And so with that being said, I could still see Malik Monk getting over fantasy points, but where we would want to make that bet would be here. And this is a situation in which we could kind of hedge. We could bet lower on PrizePicks and then bet over on Underdog. If we find another bet that we really like to pair with that, we could do that. But let's just go ahead and examine the Tobias Harris prop. So his prop line is set at 26.15 fantasy points on Underdog. And then if we look on PrizePicks, it's set at 27.5. Now, what I find kind of interesting is the fact that he has been going off late. The last 2 games, that hasn't really been his role lately. And like last game, sure, he's been able to score the basketball pretty efficiently. And I just don't see that continuing, especially in a game that's going to be a 209 over and under. And he had, about 7 more rebounds in the last game than he typically does. I would say we could expect him to get under fantasy points here. And if we're doing that bet, we'd want to do it here. At the same time, if you think that hot streak is going to continue from him, like he has been scoring 20 points, and it doesn't take that much more fantasy production, it takes a couple rebounds, a couple assists then to get the over fantasy score there. If you think he's going to continue to have a good game, then you'd want to bet the over on Underdog. And that's going to be the same for Maxey as well. We're getting a 1 point difference here. And so we can see there is a little bit of a game stack here as well. Like, heck, you could bet all over on Underdog because we're getting a big difference there for these 3 in a game. And then on PrizePicks, you could bet under for those, okay? Like, it's not a terrible move there. And like, I'm going to be honest, I don't really have a good feel for this game. I kind of thought Brooklyn would play better than they have been. And it's just coming down to these other players for Philly kind of stepping up. Now, Joel Embiid's been going off, but Harden hasn't exactly been dominating. They just haven't had an answer for Maxey, for Harris. And maybe they figure that out tonight on their home court. And if that does occur, I would say probably my favorite prop would then be Spencer Dinwiddie over fantasy points on Underdog. And that's kind of the problem I'm having today, is that it seems like the best props that we are getting are actually going to be on Underdog rather than on PrizePicks. Let's go ahead and touch on some other prop bets that were popping up on Underdog. So just switching over to Underdog. And if you guys want to join Underdog and you haven't done just yet, I kind of use Underdog in this exact scenario where it feels like we might be forcing some props on PrizePicks. Then we could look at Underdog to see if we are gaining a big edge. And then if we are, that's when I feel comfortable placing those props on Underdog. I typically am not going out of my way to place prop bets on Underdog. I am up vastly more on Underdog than on PrizePicks because of that, because I'm not going out of my way to try to make some bets. I'm letting the bets come to me. And so here are some of the good bets that we are getting. We can see Nick Gordon over singles is valued at -148, and that's at 0.5. Now he's only projected to get 0.7. Not a big edge there, but the over percent is about 53%. We like to see that. And then we are getting two props here that are about 54%. We got Looney at -141 to get over 2.5 assists, projected to get 3.59. And also Devin Booker, rebounds and assists. You could roll with that one if you wanted to there as well. See any under bets that we are getting? We kind of are. Will Harrison Barnes make 2 threes tonight? If you don't think so, you could bet under there. Same thing with Finney Smith, could do that as well. And then I really do not like doing total based props, but we are getting a couple of good ones there. And then for what it's worth, on PrizePicks right now for Sabonis, if you wanted to do points and rebounds, you would want to bet the over on PrizePicks there. We are getting a full point edge there. That's a pretty good number there as well. Kevon Looney, we are seeing a big difference there in fantasy points. Andrew Wiggins as well. We can see Underdog is kind of overvaluing those compared to how PrizePicks is valuing them. Now we can see here that just based off of the sportsbook line, Curry would be a push there on Underdog compared to the Vegas line. So probably a better bet on PrizePicks. And that's kind of just another way to go about kind of looking at that. Now, I do want to touch on the Golden State Warriors here as well, because that's where we are potentially going to get the edge. It's just a matter of not if those props come out or not. So yesterday I mentioned one of my favorite potential props that we would get would be kind of Luke Kennard. I expected him to get more minutes and step up into a bigger role. I wasn't around before lineup lock. I wasn't able to see if that prop was actually made available, but that's kind of going to be the situation, it seems like, for the Golden State Warriors. We're going to prepare for those props to come out, and if they don't, it's kind of unfortunate. And so what I mean by that is we know Draymond Green is suspended for this game. We also know that Wiggins has been a little bit banged up, and then we also know that Jordan Poole has not been playing a full allotment of minutes, okay? Jordan Poole's only played 16 and 22 minutes. If he's limited again, let's say 25 minutes or so, or less than 25 minutes, then who's going to, take over the minutes for kind of those two? And we really don't have a big sample size going into that. Basically, the only sample size that we do have would be irrelevant because Wiggins wasn't get that many minutes then. And if we just look at with Draymond Green off the court, we do see Kevon Looney get a lot more minutes. And then it's also Jonathan Kuminga. Now, I don't expect Kuminga to get minutes, or maybe he gets a little bit more, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because he really hasn't gotten any run. And sure, if we knew that he was going to get minutes, if he's in the starting lineup, then we could potentially roll with him. But I'm expecting DiVincenzo to start, and if Dante DiVincenzo starts, that's going to be intriguing to me because he is someone that we did see be pretty productive when he was getting the minutes earlier on this season. And so it's just like Luke Kennard yesterday, like we're not getting any props, or was it Quentin Grimes like 3 days ago, where the only thing that we're getting right now is free throws. And I don't hate the free throw prop. He does average about 1.4 free throws per 36 with Draymond Green off the court. The difference here is we don't know for sure that DiVincenzo is going to be the starter. It's kind of a worry. But to me, that'd be my favorite prop. And then if we just look at Looney's props feel a little bit too high. But I do want to point out that we are not getting that assist prop on PrizePicks, probably because PrizePicks views that as a good prop. So want to echo that'd be a good prop to make on Underdog. And so fantasy scored, it is interesting. Like if we expect Looney to get a little bit more run, he should be able to get over fantasy score. But part of the reason as to why he hasn't been able to get there is this foul trouble. 5 and 5 the last 2 games. And so maybe he does get a little bit more run, but can he get more run? That's my biggest question. And the reason he wouldn't would be foul trouble. And so that's my biggest worry with Looney. And obviously if he doesn't, then it's Jonathan Kuminga getting minutes. Maybe JaMychal Green, and obviously we're not getting any props for Kuminga. So that's kind of the tough part about today's slate. And then I honestly thought that there would be some good props available for maybe the Kings with Draymond Green out, that defensive presence. And no, they really bumped up these props for the Kings. And so that's my biggest worry. I'm probably staying away from those. And once again, from a fantasy score projection, Zubac is actually the best prop that we are getting on PrizePicks. Whether we trust that or not, that's up to you guys. Last game we got in on this early. I think it was at 25, maybe 25.5, and then they bumped it up to 26. Thought we were getting a big edge there, and it turns out we didn't. He had a bad game, and really the points just weren't there. You kind of expect a big to be able to go 5 for 7 or so. That didn't happen. The rebounds were down as well, and you kind of expect that to be different tonight. Like he averages 10 rebounds on the season, only had 6 last game, averages 10 points, had 8. And to me, his lines just seem a little bit tight. And so yeah, just showing it again, like Zubox over fantasy score is the best one that we were getting. They're favoring that pretty heavily. If we take in the average sportsbook odds, they're saying that he should be able to get over. I don't mind that one. That's definitely one you could roll with if you felt the need to. And then really, we're not getting any other good NBA props like Curry, 54% chance to get over 3.5 turnovers. If you like that, you could roll with that. But that's really it. That's the best one that we're getting. So to me, my favorite prop on PrizePicks is going to be this one. And that would be kind of my pick of the day. Might actually be one that you are better doing on a sportsbook. And heck, if you're getting plus odds on a sportsbook for 4.5 strikeouts, I would actually think the over would be a good move there as well. Really comes down to innings pitched, like in basketball where minutes are king, innings pitched are king for pitchers, and he's been able to pitch 6 and 5. If he does give 5 innings, I do think he'll be able to get the over there. Jeez. The tough part about doing content right here, guys. The 2.5 assists for Looney was just taken away. So, man, that's unfortunate. I thought we were going to get that good one on Looney. But this would be kind of my bets of the day. I think we are just getting a better edge on Underdog today. At the same time, I could see betting the lower on PrizePicks for these two or these three as well. And even Spencer Dinwiddie. I think there is a little bit of a game stack opportunity in this game to literally just bet the over on Underdog. And I know the payout is better on Underdog than it is on PrizePicks, but you could also bet the lower on PrizePicks. But that's going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. If you did, make sure to give a like and subscribe. If you guys want access to that PrizePicks and Underdog cheat sheet, is available on 95sports.com for $10 a month. Gives you access to that and the Fantasy Golf membership, which is really a premium golf membership for $10 a month. I price it that way really because I can, and that's really not for me. But let's have a good slate, and as always, let's keep cashing.